I'm Kathryn Kellogg, and I am so excited because my class on Skillshare just went live. It is all about sustainable living, and you can get an exclusive sneak peek coming up, but for the rest of the class, make sure that you head to Skillshare. Now that we're back from the grocery store, I wanted to talk a little bit about why we started here. When it comes to shopping, probably the thing that you shop for the absolute most is going to be groceries. Most of us go grocery shopping every single week, and it's one of the best ways that we can have a positive impact on the planet, from not only how we buy our groceries, but of course also what we put on the plate. As you went through your trash audit, you might have noticed quite a bit of food waste. For me, that was one of the #1 areas that I was really struggling with. And so by simply making a list and making sure that I knew exactly what I was going to be buying, being aware of what I already had in my pantry, writing out a few different meals that I might want to eat for the week, I was able to have a really positive impact in that way. So one of the best ways to prevent food waste is to simply make sure that we are storing our groceries properly. I like to use glass jars, not only because they're very aesthetically pleasing, but it's great because I can look at a jar and immediately know how much food I have inside that container. When it comes to produce, we want to make sure that we are storing our produce properly. When it comes to greens, my favorite way to store them is inside of a glass container with a small cloth napkin on top, and then have a lid. This prevents any excess air and any excess moisture from getting inside of those greens, and they will stay crisp for up to 2 weeks. When it comes to other produce items, I really like to display them and put them out so that way they're easily within reach. You're gonna wanna make sure things like zucchinis or peppers or eggplants, make sure that you just keep those out in the open, and that way you can see them, grab them, and make sure that you use them up. One of the best ways to make sure that you're actually using your produce instead of throwing it in the trash can or compost is to prep it just a little. I find that when I come home from the grocery store, immediately dicing, chopping, and getting a few things that are easy and ready for me to throw into my meals is one of the best ways to make sure that I actually cook at home rather than going out to eat. You might have noticed in my grocery haul that most of the items I bought are plant-based, meaning grains, legumes, plants, of course, and that's because eating plant-based is one of the best choices that you can make for the environment. Now, I am by no means going to tell anyone exactly how their diet should be, but the average American eats 3/4 of a pound of meat every single day, and that is a lot. That's really taxing on the environment, and it's not super great for our health. So one of the best things you can do is simply shift your plate so it's very, very plant-forward. When you think about things like land use and water use, something like a pound of beef will take 1,900 gallons of water for 1 pound of beef, whereas something like tofu, it only takes 300 gallons of water for 1 pound of tofu. When we prioritize plant-based foods, we're going to be using fewer resources. I do love getting takeout. Honestly, I personally feel like there's nothing better than getting takeout and watching a movie at home. That's like my ideal night. And so one of the ways I do that to create a little bit less waste is I often will go and pick my food up to go, and I will bring my own container, which might sound absolutely terrifying, but I promise it's really easy. I'm gonna tell you the secret. The secret is that you don't ask. You just very politely tell someone exactly what they're going to do. But if you just tell them what they're going to do and say, hey, I would really like that to go in here, present your container, smile, they will be Jedi mind tricked into doing exactly what you say. I have about a 98% success rate. I love to go and get Chinese food or Indian food or even go get a salad at the local cafe right around the corner. Composting is one of my personal favorite things because it is amazing for the environment. Composting is one of the best things that you can do. You would think that when you throw organic matter into the landfill that it would break down, but it doesn't, and that's because landfills aren't aerated for the proper decomposition of organic matter. And if you really want to make a huge impact in the amount of waste that you're throwing out, composting is a great place to start because on average 50% of a household's waste is actually made up of organic matter. And when I say organic matter, I mean things like hair from your hairbrush, or nail clippings, or of course your food scraps like apple cores and watermelon rinds and eggshells, and of course things like soiled paper. So if you have something like a greasy pizza box, that is actually a great addition into your compost. There are so many different options for composting, but I'm gonna go over my top 3, which are pretty foolproof. So the first one, the one that I currently use right now, is I am very fortunate that my city picks my compost up. If your city offers composting, they typically provide a small bin and they will pick it up on your regular trash day. That's what I do. Of course, there might be a business that will actually offer that service for you. I know that there are many around, and it's really, really great because they will drop a bucket off at your house. You will fill it with your food scraps. They will come by, pick it up, turn it into a nutrient-rich soil, and if you need compost at any time, you can always give them a call and they can drop compost off at your door. The second really easy way is a tumble bin. This is great if you have a small balcony or a backyard. It stands up off the ground. They're not super big. Get one that has 2 compartments, and that way you can put your food scraps in one compartment, and as soon as it's full, you can start putting your food scraps in the second compartment. It's got a little crank so you can turn it, it'll aerate it, and keep everything moving, so that way the compost will break down into soil pretty quickly in about 2 months. And the last way, which is one of the best recommendations I can give you if you have an apartment, is a bokashi bin. This bin is really small. It's not very big. It would easily fit underneath your sink, and they use enzymes to digest the food scraps. You can put anything in there. You can put your cheese, you can put your meat, you can put all of your vegetable scraps in, and then you add in the enzymes and it will eat it. It's so cool. However, you will have to have a place to bury the compost after that. So one of the best things I can suggest is an app. There's an app called Share Waste where you go on and say that you have compost that needs to be snapped up, and I can promise you someone will definitely be there to get it. Of course, if you have any houseplants, they would love that snack too. For more information on what can and can't be composted, be sure to check out the class resources. And of course, you can also check out my blog, goingzerowaste.com. I've got a full guide on composting in apartments, even if you don't have a balcony, and composting in your backyard. So I have 3 challenges for you today. You can pick any one of the 3 or all 3 if you're feeling like it. The next time you go to the grocery store, I encourage you to check out your package-free food and try a new plant-based meal. The second one would be to identify which composting system would work best for you and your lifestyle. And the last challenge is next time you're out at the cafe and you want to get your coffee to go, bring your thermos and tell them politely with a smile to put it inside of your own reusable thermos. In the next lesson, we'll be talking all about simple swaps that you can make around your home to make it a little bit more sustainable.